Hi, my name's Phil Gardner and welcome to Fun with Boxes. Well, today we're taking a look at a brand new game from Farplace Games, and this is Tile Wars. Take a look at that cover there. That looks interesting, doesn't it? And Tile Wars is an abstract strategy game for 2 to 4 players. If you've been following the channel, you will see that we've covered quite a few games from Farplace Games, and they are normally small little games. And this one, as you can see, is a big box beast of a game. So, what exactly is Tile Wars? Well, in this game you will be playing and stacking tiles to maximise your score whilst keeping an eye on your opponent and attacking with attack cards. So let's have a look at how you set it up and how you play it. Please bear in mind that this is very much an early prototype of the game. Okay, let's take a look at how we set up a game of Tile Wars. Well, the first thing we need to do is to place the game board into the centre of the table. And you have two options, either the 5x5 grid or the 4x4 grid, and the rules suggest that you start off learning the game by playing on the 5x5 side of the board. So set that up into the middle of the table. Now you'll also need to set up the scoreboard and place that to one side of the game board. I'm just going to set up a game for 2 players, so pop the player markers onto the 0 space. And next what we need to do is to take all the yellow tiles, and there should be 25 of these tiles, and pop these into the infinity bag and give these a good old shuffle. Then you need to take 2 tiles out at random, and without looking at them you need to pop these into the void. Now the void actually is inside the box lid. There you go. There's the void, look. So pop these tiles into the void face down. Then each player will take a tile rack and each player would draw 5 tiles from the bag. Keep these, of course, hidden from the other player, and then you can pop these onto your rack. So each player will take their tiles, and then we take the deck of cards, and of course you know what's coming up next. Yes, we give it a good old shuffle. And we would deal each player 2 cards which they take into their hand. And keep the deck close by, in easy reach of all the players. So we would have our 2 cards which we would take into our hands. And these are the cards that I have. Now the rules say that the player taking the effort to read these rules to everyone then chooses a start player, or of course you can simply choose at random. And there you are, you're all set up and you're ready to go. And here are the tiles you get in Tile Wars. Now if you noticed, all the tiles are in 3 different colours. You have the yellow tiles, and you'll have 25 of these, and you'll have 25 blue tiles and 25 red tiles. Now depending on the length of game you want to play, if you want to play what is called a level 1 game, then you will only be using the yellow tiles as you play. But if you want to play a slightly longer game, you can add in the blue tiles once you've finished using all the yellow tiles, and that is level 2. And if you want to have the full game, which is level 3, then you will use all the yellow tiles, all the blue tiles, and once they have all been used, you'll be using the red tiles in the game. Now one of the basic concepts of the game is that you can only place yellow tiles on the bottom layer of the game board, and then if you are using the blue tiles, you can only place blue tiles on top of yellow tile. And in the same manner, if you were going to use all the tiles, you can only place red tiles on top of blue tiles. So here are the yellow tiles, and if you notice, every tile will have a square with a dark circle in it with a number. So this tile is a 3-point tile, this tile's a 1-point tile, this tile's 2 points, 1 point, and so on. Now, when laying a tile out onto the game board, you're going to be scoring points based on the location of a tile dependent on the pattern of tile that you are playing. So let's get the game board set up here and take a look at how these tiles will work. So let's say this tile was in play on the board and it's your turn to lay a tile. So if I was to use this tile and place this tile onto the board in this location, it's going to score 3 times the value of this tile. So this tile is a 3-point tile, but when we are scoring, we ignore that part, and what we are going to do is we're going to score based on the position of the tile. So this tile is here and this tile is here. So scoring this tile would be 3 times 2. And for example, you could turn it round that way to score, as long as it's placed orthogonally. And in the same manner, this tile here, if I place this tile here, it would score again 3 times 2, relevant to that tile's position. And I could play the tile here, because you can place the tiles anywhere you want on the board and in any orientation. So this would be a better way of utilizing this tile, 3 times 3 instead. Now this tile, if I was to place this here, then it would score nothing because there's no tile directly above it and there's no tile diagonally below it. So this wouldn't score me anything. But if I was to place it here, then again it wouldn't score anything as there's no tile above it, but there is a tile down here, so it'd score 1 times 3 for 3 points. And in the same manner, this tile placed here will score 1 times 2 and 1 times 3 for a total of 5 points. And if I placed this tile here, it ignores this tile here, ignores this tile here, if there were tiles there, and will score 2 times 3 for 6 points. So that should give you a good idea of how the scoring works and the way that you can manipulate your tile, so you can change the orientation of your tile that you think is going to give you the best scoring opportunities. Okay, so let's look at the turn of a game. And a turn consists of drawing a card, playing a tile, scoring the tile, and then drawing tiles back up to 5 on your rack. Okay, so before you start your turn, check to see how many tiles you have. If you only have 1 tile or 0 tiles left, then you draw from the bag to ensure you have 2 tiles before playing. So if you only had 1 tile, you would draw 1 extra tile to make sure you have 2 tiles before you start playing. Okay, so drawing a card. Very simply, at the start of your turn, you draw the top card from the deck and add it to your hand. Now, one thing to note about the cards, any number of cards can be played at any time, subject to the play restrictions on the card. So, for example, if it says on an opponent's turn, then it can be played at any point during any opponent's turn. And then next, playing a tile. Now, at the start of the game, all players will have 5 tiles to choose from. You need to place one of your tiles anywhere on the board and in any orientation you wish. So just for an example of play here, I'll just pop this tile into the middle. Now normally you would then score that tile before then drawing tiles back up to 5 tiles on your rack if you have less than 5 tiles at the end of your turn. Now on the very first turn, the first player is simply putting a tile out and there is nothing to score yet. So I've played the tile, I can't score it at the moment, so I would simply now draw tiles back up to ensure I have 5 tiles on my rack. Now at the end of my turn, what I need to do is check to see how many cards I have in hand, and the most cards you can have in hand is 3. So if at the end of your turn you've got 4 or more cards in your hand, then you will have to discard cards down until you've only got 3 remaining. And then that's the end of my turn, and it's now my opponent's turn to play. So the first thing they need to do is to draw a card. So they will draw a card into their hand. They now have 3 cards, and they will play a tile. So I'm going to have a little look at what they have here. Now, the fun aspect of this game is that you don't score the tile you are playing. You score in relation to the tile you are playing. So, for example, this is a 3 value tile. If I place it here, it's now going to be worth 3 times the value of the tile that it's next to diagonally. So this would be 3 times 1, and that would be worth 3 points. So that player would score 3 points, and then they would draw tiles back from the bag until they had 5 tiles in their rack. Next, it would be my turn. I would draw a card into my hand, and then I would look to play a tile. Now, this tile here, it's a 3 value tile, but for scoring purposes, we are looking to score the tile that it's right next to. So if I place this here, this is going to score 2 times 3, which is going to be a whopping 6 points. And after I've scored, I would then draw back to 5 tiles. And so we're going to continue until all the tiles are gone from the bag. Now, if we were playing level 1, we would only be using the yellow tiles. So as soon as the bag is empty, we would continue playing until the game end is triggered. And when one player cannot play a tile and there are none in the bag, other players take 1 more turn only, then the game ends and the person with the higher score will win. And in the event of a tie, put tiles in the void back in the bag and let the tied players have 1 more round each to determine a winner. In the event of a further tie, keep going like this until a winner is determined. In further ties, put tiles from non-tied players into the bag as well to keep going. If they tie every round until the tiles run out, then they simply share the victory. Now, if you're playing the higher levels, level 2 or level 3, as soon as the bag is empty, so all the yellow tiles are in play or they're in the void in the lid box, then you would collect all the blue tiles for level 2. Again, there'll be 25 of these tiles, and you pop these into the bag. Remember to take out 2 at random and put them into the void, just like you did when you set up the game with the yellow tiles. And then continue playing as normal. Now, with the blue tiles, these can only be placed on top of yellow tiles. So you can't place them on the bottom level of the board. These have to be placed on top of the yellow tiles. And you'll notice that the blue tiles are more powerful than the yellow tiles, and obviously the red tiles there will be more powerful again, giving you more points as you play the game. And these work exactly the same as the yellow tiles do. So what I could do is play this blue tile here. Now it will be worth 1 times 3 for 3 points, plus then 2 times 3, which is 6 points. So that'll be worth a total of 9 points. And again, you would continue playing until all the blue tiles have gone. And if you were then going to play with the red tiles, you would collect the red tiles, pop them into the bag, and again take 2 out and put them into the void without looking at them. And then you would continue playing until the game end is triggered. Now always remember that the yellow tiles can go onto the floor of the board, and blue tiles have to be played onto yellow tiles, And red tiles then can only be played on top of blue tiles. And if ever you've got any yellow tiles on your rack, you have to play them before any blue tiles. And if you've got blue tiles on your rack, you have to play them before you play any red tiles. So that's important to note. Now, there is a shorter game option, and that's using the 4x4 board, the reverse side of the board that we've used here. And this allows for a faster game, getting to higher levels quickly. And what we would do here as part of setup is we would take our 25 yellow tiles but randomly remove 9 and place them back into the box unseen, and we would use then only 16 tiles for each level. So with 2 players we would deal 5 tiles as normal to each player, with 2 tiles being placed into the void unseen. Now there is a solo mode included as well, and you play this without the attack cards or the void, and your challenge is to simply get the highest possible score over 1, 2 or 3 levels of tile placement, and you rate yourself on the following chart. Now you can also play cooperatively, and you play the game as normal, but display the tiles openly, discarding poor attack cards and playing other cards to help your team. And you can discuss how to play tiles in order to maximize your scores. And again, you have a chart there to determine your level of play. Now, the cards that you have, these can be very, very powerful and will change up the game. And they can be used to inflict quite a bit of take that onto your opponents. But you can also use the cards to your own advantages. So, for example, this card here, card swap, play at any time and swap a card of your choice with a random card from an opponent of your choice. Here we have Super Power Drain. Play during your turn. If not leading on the scoreboard, then you would take 2 points from each opponent ahead of you and just simply move their score marker down 2 points. We have a Wormhole. Play anytime, and you can swap 2 tiles of the same colour with each other, so that could be very handy for yourself. This one here is Super Drain the Void, and you play this immediately when it's drawn, and you put all the tiles in the void into the infinity bag. This one, Cosmic Slide, play anytime and slide the tile 1 place in any direction, keeping to the level limits. And here we have Super Card Grab. Play at any time and steal 2 random cards from an opponent of your choice. So as you can see, there are quite a few attack cards there, and don't forget you have a hand limit of 3, and you simply follow the instructions on the card. And like I say, you can play them for yourself or play them as an attack against your opponents. And there you go, that's how you play Tile Wars. Now, there will be a variety of boards that you can play the game on to mix up the action. So, for example, here's these boards and this board here. So these will change up the way the game plays. Well, there you go. That's Tile Wars, the new game from Farplace Games, coming to a crowdfunding campaign soon. So do keep an eye out for that. And if I have any further information on when it's due to be released or when any crowdfunding campaign launches, I'll be sure to update the description below. So please do check that out. And also remember, the Farplace Games is Farplace Animal Rescue Charity. So any of the sales from this game will help support that animal rescue charity, which is a tremendous thing. Well, there you go. I do hope you enjoyed taking a look at this with me. If you did, please consider hitting the old like button and also hit that subscribe button too, if you would be so kind, because that will really help to grow the channel. And in the meantime, as always, thanks so much for watching. Please do take care, and bye for now.